The first thing I want to do is start off with an apology. How am I going to have a YouTube channel and I haven't even taken the opportunity to introduce myself? My name is Andrew William Marshall Jr. My dad is Andrew William Marshall Sr. And the YouTube channel is called All American Adventures. It's a thought that Dad and I can do things together and film it. Right now we have a thermal drone, and we're going around with it and using it to recover deer and do other things, wildlife surveys. I've been spying on Dad while he hunts, and it's really been a great time. I'm a retired airborne jump master, first sergeant, spent 22 years in the military, really enjoyed my time. I have another YouTube channel called Marshall in the Middle, and I've got over 170 interviews of my heroes out there, from my pastor to my Sunday school teacher to the general to the sergeant major to all kinds of folks. And so go check that out. I wanted to take an opportunity and tell about my encounter with the game warden and the drone. There's been a lot of questions about legalities, and as I begin, the first thing I want to say is congrats to the state of Alabama and the DNR and the game wardens. I tell you, I'll read a statement later, and I'll tell you they're really supporting business men and women, really supporting hunters and outdoorsmen and conservationists, and I'm proud of the stance that they're taking. People ask me about the realities of what I'm doing with my drone. The technology is there, honestly, to go find a deer. The deer would never know you're there, and you can use a walkie-talkie and somebody with a pistol, and you could, if you wanted to, direct somebody in to kill anything you wanted. There's no doubt about it. If you snuck up on it in the right way, using the wind in the right situation, this drone, the one that I have, will allow you to do very unethical things, right? But it's no different than having a Maserati or a Porsche that can go 300 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. You have to modulate what you use it for. You got to make sure you're doing the right things. So here I have this drone that I have all kinds of capabilities of doing, and let me tell you about how the game warden got involved in this particular situation. Now, I have a relationship with the game warden that goes way back. As a matter of fact, he stated years ago that I was the first person that he knew of in his area that had purchased a license online. One time, as a matter of fact, the first time we met, I was a new hunter in the area, and I was selling body armor for the major manufacturer of body armor in the United States of America. And you know, he would be a potential client, and I'm hunting in his area, and he shows up to check our license, and I hand him a little pink post-it note with a code on it, like Papa Juliet 617444 or something like that. And he's like, "What is this?" I said, "It's my license. I got it online." He's like, "Whoa." So he walked back to his truck and got on his walkie-talkie thing, and next thing you know, he comes over, he says, "Hey, I've never seen this before, but have a great hunt," you know. And so that formed a relationship that continues to this day. So I had seen him earlier in the year at the youth hunt, visited with him. You can see him in the video that I made of that event. You can check it out on All American Adventures, the YouTube channel. And basically, I was sitting for our encounter, I was sitting at our sign-in box, and it's just off the road. You can see it from the paved road, and if you park there, my dad had told me earlier that morning, he goes, "If you park there, you know that's the game warden magnet." And I laughed. I said, "Yeah." And I hadn't actually planned to sit there, but the way things were, what I did was decided to sit there and fly my drone on opening morning and watch my father hunt. Basically, he was sitting in a stand, and I didn't communicate with him at all. He did text to me, but I not to him about any specifics of the hunt, and I just watched him. And I knew what was happening because I could see the deer and where they were going and whatever. He wasn't out there with a walkie-talkie and stalking the deer and sneaking up on them. He was just sitting there. And so I'm sitting there watching this opening morning, and here comes the game warden. and he pulls in right beside me in my pickup truck. Now, I'm driving a strange pickup truck. Long story, but it's a pickup truck with tags out of Florida. He doesn't recognize it. He's doing his due diligence. He wants to know who this is, that kind of thing. He's taking care of us. He pulls up beside me, and I roll down my window. I'm sitting there with the controller and the drone in the hand. The drone is in the air, looking down, watching a deer that's close to my dad. And he walks over and he's like, "What you doing?" "Oh, Will, how are you?" I'm like, "Hey," you know. And we got to talking. He's like, "I wouldn't have come over here if I hadn't, and if I'd have recognized your truck, if I'd have known that was you, I wouldn't." And I'm like, "Yeah, no big deal. What's going on?" And he's like, "Well, you're not hunting?" And I said, "No, I'm sitting here flying my drone watching Dad." And he says, "Isn't that illegal?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, and I didn't give him a chance to answer. I said, "Well, here's the way I look at it." I said, if I had a walkie-talkie and my dad had a gun and I was flying over the deer and I was watching him and I was watching the deer and I was directing Dad in and we were killing a bunch of deer and that's what we were doing, I said, that's not right. I said, but me just spying on Dad, just flying above him, what information am I really going to give him anyway? You know, look out the front with, you know, am I going to drop him a pin? There's no way to really give him effective information from afar just by what I'm looking at. And he kind of understood, and he really didn't say much else. And we talked a little bit more about the truck. And he apologized as he left. He said, if I'd have realized it was you, Will, I'd have never even been over here. And so it was neat. If he would have asked me for my license, if he would have thought I was hunting, I thought that would have been an interesting thing, an interesting dilemma. I wondered if I wasn't going to be hunting this year. And one of the things I have to tell you guys is I quit deer hunting several years ago. I just got tired of killing deer. I'd killed so many deer, I didn't even know which deer was what. And so what I did was just begin helping Dad and hanging out with Dad. So I'd go help with the food plots and do all of those things. And so I don't really hunt anymore. So I really enjoy, though, hanging out with Dad and watching him and seeing the excitement. And so that's one of the reasons that I don't particularly hunt. But this year I decided that I wanted, and I haven't for several years, this year I decided I was going to buy all the hunting licenses that were applicable, right? I got the thermal, like drone hog hunting license. I got the feeding license. I didn't want there to be any thought at all that I wasn't trying to support conservation in the state of Alabama and the support of the sport of hunting, even though I wasn't shooting. So if he would have asked me for my license, I would have had a license and I would have done those things. But personally, I don't really think that I'm hunting. I think that I'm just watching, just like any other cameraman or something like that. This year's season's almost over. People thought, you know, you'd think if I had this drone and all these capabilities, my dad might have a big deer that he's killed, but actually he killed one doe, and the season ends on 10 February. I imagine we'll go a few more times and I'll watch, but so far Dad, the drone hasn't caused our hunting club to kill any more deer, that's for sure. So I want to leave you with the statement from the Alabama game wardens and the DNR, and that's what they have to say about using drones and other devices to locate dead and injured game. So we appreciate the state of Alabama and their support of everything that's going on, and to all the Alabama game wardens out there, like my unnamed buddy, I love you. Thanks for what you guys do. You really do bring the community of hunters together in 99% of the cases, and the times you don't, you know the deal. All right, love everybody. Airborne.